morning. As in keeping with the rest of the country, in a moment or two we will be spending 2 minutes in silence as we remember and commemorate those who have sacrificed and given the ultimate sacrifice for the rest of us. Not only churches are doing this, I notice shops, hospitals, anything that is open will be stopping today where possible for 2 minutes, and they're just going to stand in silence and remember. Let's stand. Please be seated. 100 years or so ago, the French army sent their official guard of honor out to the area of the Somme. It's about a few months after the end of the fighting. And they went there, and they went to an area which had been used as an emergency graveyard, is the best way to call it. And they dug there and they looked for and found the remains of a single British soldier. They gathered up what lay there and they put it into a state coffin. And this guard of honor marched that coffin with that soldier in it. They had no idea who the soldier was. It was an unknown soldier. No clue who it could be. And they marched that coffin all the way to the seaport. And when they got to the seaport, they handed the coffin over to the British Army. And they too had a guard of honor who took this coffin with this unknown person inside, and they took it to Oxford. One of the things we often wonder about, why was there so many soldiers in this war and we didn't know who they were? Why is there so many? And there's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of soldiers. We don't know who they were. And one of the reasons for that, and the main reason for that, it didn't work in those days like it does now. Most of the soldiers who went to the First World War weren't conscripted into the army, they volunteered. And the way it used to work was that villages and small towns and hamlets all around the country used to put a little brigade of men together. Men who volunteered, who wanted to go and fight the tyranny of what they felt was going on. And so these men all came together and were all sent off. No dog tags, no identification papers. And that's why with so many soldiers, we have no idea who they were. So this unknown soldier was marched to Westminster Abbey, where they had a service to acknowledge not just this soldier, all of the soldiers who fell and were never recorded. All of the soldiers who no one knows what their name was. This young man in this coffin, they were able to tell from the way he was dressed, his dental work, his bone structure, that he wasn't a wealthy man. He was a poor lad from a poor background who had a very poor diet and worked really hard, much harder than his diet would have allowed. That's who this unknown soldier is. And that the service was given, and the very first memorial was built for the unknown soldier. And that has now spread about our land and about our world. It's thousands of. When you read the history books, you don't read about this chap in his coffin, because we don't know who he is. And when the history books record all these battles and wars, they tell you what general, what brigadier, or what high-ranking officer played the role and was given the credit. But they did none of that. It was these men, these young men, whose names nobody knows. Their time's moved on from them, the army has moved on from them. Now we know who is in our armed forces and who is fighting, but still, even to this very day, young men and women are sacrificing their lives for the lifestyle that we believe is right and proper. This morning we are taking this little time to commemorate those people who have given their lives, and to empathize with those who have lost those people. We must never forget these young people who gave so much. It's so easy for us tomorrow to forget it, next week to forget it, until the 11th of November next year again. It would be good to keep them in our hearts and remember, even now, there's people out there standing between us and tyranny.
Let's stand together and sing.
When Jesus shared the bread and wine of his Last Supper with his disciples and commanded them to do this in memory of me, he enacted a ritual that would become the heart of Christian practice. When we break the bread and drink the cup that signify Christ's broken body and spilled blood, we participate in an act of remembrance, or what we call anamnesis, literally an unforgetting, remembering God's emptying himself out in the incarnation and crucifixion, Christ's laying down himself, his life for humanity. We remember that God is with us in our suffering and loss. But when we gather and enact that remembrance, that anamnesis, that unforgetting, we also look toward the future. We remember Jesus' death, and we look forward to the coming kingdom that is foreshadowed by and initiated by his resurrection. We remember the past, but we also imagine the future. We've gathered here to remember, to unforget. On this day, we bring to mind for a while the names of those we've lost to war, whose names are engraved on so many stone monuments in our public squares, though their bodies are elsewhere. Fathers, mothers, sons and daughters, sisters and brothers, some known, some unknown to us. Some whose faces and histories, voices and mannerisms resonate in our memories. Some who are no more than names to us. But each of those names belonged to a living, breathing, loving, dreaming, working human body, who moved among friends and family, strangers and enemies for their allotted time before giving willingly or unwillingly, knowingly or unknowingly, that last full measure of devotion in death. Some died in their homes, some in the workplace, some on ships, some on the battlefield. Some died on the beaches, some on the landing grounds, some in the fields and in the streets, and some in the hills. But they never surrendered. Some died facing their fears, performing acts of courage that saved the lives of others. Some were sacrificed in acts of violence that they never saw coming. Some were victims of the mistakes of those in charge. But wherever and whenever they fell, they left behind family and friends who may grieve their loss to this very day. This very day on which we remember not only the lives they lost, but the lives they never got to lead. And we imagine what those lives might have been. Marriages that never took place, children who were never born, dreams that were left unfulfilled. Each year, we remember and we imagine. Each year, we look to the past and to the future. We are reminded not only of the great cost of war, but of the great promise of peace. When Kohelet, the teacher, the gatherer of wisdom, whose collected writings form the book we call Ecclesiastes, when he looked at the ancient world around him, he reckoned that history oscillated back and forth between opposites, between seasons, a time and a season for every matter under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw away stones, a time to gather stones together, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep, a time to throw away, a time to tear, a time to sow, a time to keep silence, and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. If you didn't hear the melody of Pete Seeger's Turn, Turn, Turn as I read those words, I suspect you're younger than I am. But while Kohelet paints a beautiful, poetic, albeit bleak and melancholy picture of the world as it is, he does precious little imagining of a world that could be, a world that will be. Each year during this season, we gather once again to remember, and we repeat each year the unforgetting of these names and bodies, this band of brothers joined together in death, and we imagine a future. Not simply a future that could have been for each of them if things had been otherwise, but a future for all of us when things are otherwise. As the people of this nation gather today at so many public monuments to the war dead, cenotaphs on which so many names have been inscribed in stone, at these empty tombs, we can say of these names, they are not here. These empty tombs remind us of another, an empty tomb from which the Prince of Peace proclaimed that death will not have the final say, that things are not as bleak as they appear to be, that history need not be an endless cycle of meaningless repetition, that there is coming a day when things will be otherwise, that there is coming a kingdom in which the time for war is forever past, and the time for peace is eternally present. A time in which we may truly remember the war to end all wars. That is why we gather here, to remember, to unforget, and to imagine.
On the night Jesus was betrayed, he took the bread and he broke it and he shared it amongst his disciples. And he said to them, "This bread represents my body, which is broken for you. Take this." That same evening, he took the cup and he shared it amongst his disciples. And he said, "This represents my blood. Take this in remembrance of what I shared for you. Take this and remember." Lord, by taking these elements, we acknowledge, Lord, not just in our hearts, but by our actions. We acknowledge, Lord, all that you have done for us. We acknowledge the sacrifice you made for us. We acknowledge that you died so that we could spend eternity with the Father. There is no words, Lord, that could even begin to express the depth of our thanks. So, Lord, we leave it with